world of animals is rich and varied. Hashem created many wonderful animals, and each one has a unique function in creation. If we consider a special function of a particular animal, we can learn about serving Hashem. In the first halakha in the Shulchan Aruch, we learn, Yehuda ben Tema says, "Be bold as a leopard, light as an eagle, swift as a deer, and brave as a lion, to do the will of your Father in heaven." Bold as a leopard, not to be embarrassed to do mitzvah in the presence of people who mock you. Brave as a lion. True bravery is in the heart, in overcoming the evil inclination. And the Talmud in Eruvin says, even if the Torah had not been given, we could learn modesty from the cat and honesty from the ant. Hashem created man on the sixth day of creation and commanded him, "Be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and dominate it, and rule over the fish in the sea and the birds of the air and every living thing that crawls upon the earth." From his creation, man was granted the power to rule over the animals. This power depends, however, on man's ability to rule the animal within himself. When a person rules his own spirit and uses the animal-like aspects of his own soul only to serve Hashem, he also rules over the real animals, even the predatory ones, like Ariel, the emissary from Jerusalem, who was protected by a lion, like Daniel in the lion's den, and others. Let us explore nature and its wonders and learn from them how to serve Hashem better. In this video, we will learn about the cow, the sheep, and the chicken. The cow is a kosher animal of the bovine family. It chews its cud and has split hooves. The cow is the most important animal in agriculture. It produces milk for drinking and milk byproducts, including cheese, butter, and desserts. The meat is also eaten and is considered good and tasty. On festivals, it is a mitzvah to eat meat, to add to the joy of the holiday. And the Talmud says, there can be no rejoicing without meat. Regurgitation of the cud is one of the signs of a kosher animal. This trait in the cow and other kosher animals is a gift from Hashem. Ruminants, animals who chew a cud and regurgitate it, are herbivores, plant eaters. In order to be sated, these animals must eat large amounts. While eating, they are in danger from predators. Therefore, Hashem gave them this special digestive system so that they could eat large amounts at one time and regurgitate and digest later in a different place where they feel more secure. In the past, oxen were used as beasts of burden and for plowing. There was once a righteous man who had a cow. He plowed with her during the week and allowed her to rest on Shabbat. In time, the man became poor and had to sell all his possessions. Finally, he had to sell the cow to a non-Jew. For 6 days the cow worked, but when Shabbat came and the non-Jew took her out to plow, she lay down on the spot and refused to move. He began to beat her, but it made no difference. The non-Jew went to the righteous man and said, "Take back your cow. I made a bad bargain. For 6 days she worked well, but when I took her out on the 7th, she lay down and refused to work. I beat her, but it was no use." The righteous man understood that the cow would not work because she was used to resting on Shabbat. He told the non-Jew, "Come, I will see to it that the cow will get up and work." When they arrived, the righteous man bent over and spoke gently into the cow's ear. "Cow," he said, "when you belonged to me, you were allowed to rest because I keep Shabbat. But I sold you to this man. He is not required to rest on Shabbat, and neither are you now. Please obey your master." As soon as he said this, the cow got up, ready to go to work. The non-Jew was astonished. "Tell me," he asked, "did you bewitch this cow? I will not let you go until you tell me what you said to her." The righteous man repeated what he said to the cow. The non-Jew was deeply moved by what he heard and reasoned, "If this dumb beast acknowledges the Creator, then surely I, who have intelligence, must do so." He went and converted to Judaism and became very righteous. He learned much Torah and was known as Rabbi Yochanan ben Torta, Rabbi Yochanan of the cow. After a cow is slaughtered, it is skinned. The hide is tanned by an arduous process and made into parchment, which is used for writing Sifrei Torah, Tefillin, and Mezuzot. These are written by a qualified sofer. The cow's hide is also used to make the batim of the Tefillin. In the time of the temple, bullocks, young bulls, were among the animals sacrificed. The Torah refers to the ox whose nature is to gore. In terms of a Jew's soul, this stands for a hot temper and passionate nature. In Hasidic books, it says that the aggressive nature of the ox does not have to be squelched. Instead, it should be used for holy purposes. Prayer and Torah should always be accompanied by warmth and enthusiasm, and the heart should be warm with the love of other Jews. The ox's strength can be used to plow and break the soil, so that much grain can grow. As it is written, a multitude of grain is to be found in the strength of the ox. The body and animal soul of man, which are also referred to as ox, contain a great source of potential strength. When a Jew rises promptly in the morning, washes his hands, puts on talit and tefillin, studies Torah and tries to excel in the three paths of Torah, prayer, and acts of kindness, he refines his body and draws down heavenly light upon his godly soul. So children, the next time you see a herd of cattle or other animals, remember, this magnificent sight conceals deep secrets and lofty concepts. The sheep is one of the 10 kosher animals mentioned in the Torah. Domesticated sheep have fine curly wool. They are sheared in the spring. The wool is woven into clothes. The hide of the sheep is used for tents and clothing, the dung for fuel and fertilizer. Most sheep have broad, fat tails. In the tail fat is stored for times of famine. In the past, this fat was used for food and fuel. The excellent meat of the sheep is very tasty. Although sheep's milk is not as tasty as that of cattle and goats, it is used to produce highly prized and tasty cheeses. Sheep are harmless and obedient animals. Thus, a single young shepherd may be put in charge of a large flock. Ewes give birth to 1 or 2 lambs each season. Moshe Rabbeinu and King David were shepherds. When Hashem wanted to test their leadership qualities, he examined their attitude towards their sheep. The Midrash tells us When Moshe watched the flock of his father-in-law, Yitro, a lamb ran away from the flock. Moshe ran after it. The lamb ran to a pool of water and began to drink. Moshe said, "I did not know that you were thirsty. Now you must be tired." He put the lamb on his shoulders and carried it back to the flock. Hashem then said, "Since you have such pity on sheep, you shall be the shepherd of my flock, Israel." King David was similarly tested. When he led his flock to pasture, he would first lead the little lambs to where they could eat tender plants. Then he would pasture the older animals where they could eat medium grass. Finally, he would bring the strong young rams to a place where they could graze on tough grass. Hashem said, "Since he knows how to feed the sheep, each according to his strength, let him come and be shepherd to Israel, my flock." In the days of the temple, sheep were sacrificed on the altar. Sheep's wool is the material from which tzitzit are made. The strands of the tzitzit are meant to remind the Jew of all the commandments of the Torah, as it says, "They shall be tzitzit for you, and you shall see them and remember all the commandments of Hashem," etc. The Jewish people is compared to a sheep among 70 wolves. Just as a faithful shepherd protects his flock from wild animals, so Hashem protects the Jewish people and rescues it daily from the nations of the world. The sheep is a quiet animal, sensitive and helpless. When a sheep is injured, it feels the pain in its entire body. So too, the entire Jewish people suffers the pain of every individual member. Sheep feel secure when the whole flock is assembled. Similarly, a Jew only feels secure when he is together with his own people. The shofar is made from the horn of the ram. The shofar is blowing during Elul, on Rosh Hashanah, at the end of Yom Kippur, and in the Yovel year. At the moment of the true and full redemption, the great shofar will be blown, and the lost ones shall come from the land of Assyria. and the outcast from the land of Egypt, and they shall bow before Hashem in the holy mountain in Jerusalem. The Lubavitcher Rebbe says, the metaphor of the sheep is relevant to our times. The Jewish people is called a scattered sheep. This expression refers especially to a Jew whose fulfillment of Torah lacks firmness, and he finds himself constantly led astray. This is because he lacks the cornerstone of the code of Jewish law, which is, do not be ashamed before those who mock him. To correct this, the Rebbe says, we must not be ashamed before those who mock us. Rather, we should carry out the commandments with firmness, and his heart shall be strong in the way of Hashem. The male chicken, the rooster, has three names in the Hebrew language: Tarnegol, Gever, and Sechvi. The chicken is a kosher fowl, very prominent in agriculture. Its flesh and eggs are eaten. The rooster is bold and is the most impudent of fowls. The shape of the comb and the color of the feathers vary from one kind of poultry to another. There are white, brown, and even red chickens. Chickens clean their bodies with sand and dust rather than water. They molt their feathers once a year. Chickens eat seeds, fruits, and buds. Their diet is enriched by eating insects and worms, which they gather slowly with their beaks. In order to grind the food, chickens swallow small stones. The food is stored in the crop, where it undergoes a preliminary softening before being further digested. Hashem gave the rooster discernment to distinguish between day and night. As soon as dawn breaks, the rooster stands in high place and calls. In the past, roosters served as alarm clocks. During incubation, the hen guards her eggs scrupulously. For the sake of a single egg, she will raise her voice from far away. The chicks hatch with open eyes, and during the first day, they can already forage for themselves. The Arizal once looked at one of his disciples and said, "Your forehead bears the mark of the sin of cruelty to animals." The disciple was very upset and thought about the matter. It occurred to him that his wife did not feed the chickens in the morning. Instead, she turned them out to forage for themselves. He pointed this out to her, and from then on, she prepared food for the chickens first thing in the morning. After this, when the Arizal examined his disciple's face, he told him, "Your sin has been removed." When a rooster discovers something edible, he calls his friends to share it with them. Sometimes he will gather food and place it before his fellow roosters. From this, we learn the importance of generosity. If you have some delicacy, don't eat it by yourself. Invite poor people or relatives to share it with you, or send it to them. There is no finer character trait than this. When a rooster drinks, he raises his head to the sky. A person should also lift his head to heaven when he acquires some new material or spiritual acquisition, and recognize that everything is from Hashem. He should not say, "My might and my strength of my hand have brought me all this wealth." A chicken stands on one leg. In the Talmud, it says that the prophet Habakkuk stood the whole Torah on one verse. The righteous man shall live by his faith. Just a chicken stands on one leg, so the basis of all 613 mitzvot is one mitzvah, belief in Hashem. When a chicken wakes up, it shakes its wings to remove the dust. Of the redemption it is said, "Shake yourself and rise from the dust." During the exile, the domination of the nations is superficial only, like dust which does not cling to the chicken's wings. With a light shake, all the nations shall fall away, and the kingdom of Hashem shall be revealed, together with the spiritual supremacy of the Jewish people. As the Lubavitcher Rebbe said, every Jew is gold.